Sir. Thanks for joining us here.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Doing very well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. We're up here in Michigan on Saginaw Bay, and I imagine the weather's a little cooler here than it is down there where y'all are at right
Man,
now.
I'll bet it is to a great degree. Very envious of that fact, for that matter. So, of course, happening right now, you finished in 19th place on Tuesday. Made the cut just barely, but still some work to do before you can actually make the big cut for the whole tournament. So talk about your strategy going forward.
Yeah, well, tomorrow is the second day for Group B, which I'm in, and in order to advance to the knockout round, I need to finish in the top 20. And like you said, I was in 19th place after the first day, so I got my work cut out for me, and hopefully we can get that done tomorrow. We're supposed to have some good weather. Wind's not supposed to be as bad as it was the first day, so excited about it. And not only that, I got on the line this week for me is the Red Crest qualification. So the points are real important for me. And if I make the knockout round, I should qualify for the Red Crest. So that'd be good, great as well.
So, is there a particular, as far as strategy goes, like, do you change your approach that you had previously to what you do going forward?
Well, not really. I've got an area that's got a lot of fish in it, and I feel like it's just a matter of getting a few key bites, and hopefully I'll get a few key bites tomorrow.
So kind of coming back a little bit, looking back, you're a Jasper native here in East Texas, born and raised. So talk about your upbringing and how fishing became a part of that, and then what made you decide to go ahead and go for it professionally.
Yeah, well, I'm just always enthused about the outdoors as a young man, and my dad always took me hunting and fishing, and we started fishing little club tournaments together, and we kind of branched out into some team events, and then I started fishing some stuff, pro-am events on my own, and it just kind of unfolded for me, and I qualified for the professional tour in 2000, and 23 years later, here I am still doing it. But, my dad was a big inspiration of that. I worked for him. He was a building contractor, and I worked for him when I wasn't fishing tournaments, and I could take off when I needed to take off. And that just kind of allowed me to pursue my passion and my dream.
Now, you mentioned you're 23 years in the business now, so to speak, and of course, different sports have different life expectancies, right? Gymnasts have a very small one, basketball players a little bit longer, football players a little bit shorter, right? So what's the expectancy of a career span for an angler, and how much time do you think you have left casting reels?
Man, I don't know. There's a lot of guys out here, in their 60s still doing it, at a very competitive being very competitive at that age. So, the career longevity of a fisherman is a lot longer than the other sports you just mentioned. And I tell people all the time, like you said, you get to an age where you can't play baseball or you can't play football, you can't play this or that, but you can always go fishing till you're able to, in your 70s, 80s, whenever. So, I always encourage you're teaching somebody to go fishing. You're teaching them something that they can enjoy for a lifetime.
So speaking of that, let's talk about that for a second, because yeah, you can fish, that's like a big retirement goal for a lot of people. They retire and then go fish every single day. So is there a difference in fishing for leisure or fishing competitively, or is it all the same thing?
No, there's definitely a difference between it. When I go home and I just want to relax and go fishing, I'll go crappie fishing or I'll take the kids fishing, and we just have fun. When you do the competitive deal, and whether you're at a local level competitive wise or professional, competitive wise like I do, it just amp things up a little bit more, and you get a little bit more serious about it, and depending on how competitive you are, you can get really serious about it. So but there's a different pace to it, absolutely.
Well, to that end, of course, this is the final tournament of the year here in Michigan right now. So talk about how you're going to spend your off season between now and next year.
Well, I like spending time with the family. I'm gone a lot during the course of the year, and there's a lot of catch up. But my wife will have a long honey-do list for me to do this off season, and just spend time with the family. I enjoy hunting. I'll spend some time in the woods with the kids and doing that stuff. And we'll have commitments for sponsors we have to do as well. Boat shows will start in January and December. We'll be doing some of that, and finalizing contracts for next year and working with sponsors on what next year is going to bring as well.
So we mentioned other sports, how football players prepare in the off season, how other athletes prepare in the off season. How does an angler prepare for the next season in the off season?
Yeah, well, that's a different approach for different fishermen. Some guys fish as much as they can. I spend so much time fishing during the season. I feel like I need a little break from it. So I kind of recharge my batteries by going hunting, spending time with the family, and kind of getting away from it. And when December rolls around, January rolls around, I'll start fishing a little bit, breaking the new boat in, making sure I have everything right on my electronics and all. And by the time tournament season rolls around, I'm ready to go again. And that works for me, but that's not how everybody does it.
So I want to ask about this Michigan tournament in particular. Has there been any sort of moments that have happened that really kind of surprised you, or that kind of got your adrenaline built up as you've been fishing this tournament?
Well, I don't know if you can appreciate how big this body of water is. It's part of Lake Huron, and they call it Saginaw Bay, but it's like 22, 23 miles across it. The bay itself, and the wind can blow 5 to 10 miles an hour here, and it can get really, really rough. So it can be intimidating. It's a big body of water. We've got great equipment out there, and you have to be careful. You have to pay attention to the wind and the weather, and kind of you plan your day and your strategy based on the wind more than anything when you come to a big body of water like this. So I've paid attention to the weatherman and wind finder app and all that stuff a lot this week, more so than most lakes we go to.
It's fascinating to me how it's not just fishing, right? You have to know about the weather, know about topography, know about wildlife and animal behaviors, things like that. A lot of knowledge kind of goes into this sport here, and it's neat how you have to learn all these things to do this one very particular thing. So to that end, you're a seasoned veteran, like you've been doing this for a long time. Any young people watching right now who are like, man, he's living my dream, how do I do that? What's your advice to them?
Well, the learning curve for people nowadays with social media, the YouTubers and the videos and everything that's out on the internet right now, is the learning curve for a young person is a lot quicker than when I started. And all that stuff is really, really good information. You can read, you can Google something that maybe you don't know anything about, a technique, a bait, or something like that. But I always tell people, there's no substitute for your personal time that you spend on the water. There's no substitute for it. And when you change baits, or you think of something on your own, or you start gaining confidence by those decisions you make, and you catch a fish because you change the color of a bait or something like that, that's where you build confidence as an angler. And that's where you grow as an angler. And that's what makes you become a better angler. And you don't have to have a boat, as a young kid or whatever. I grew up fishing ponds, creeks, whatever we could get into, that's where we would fish. And, every once in a while, Dad would take me in the boat, and that'd be, a very exciting time, on the weekends when he wasn't working. But in between those weekends, I would, try to fish wherever I could. And I learned a lot of that just as a kid, bank fishing.
Well, I mean, you're doing great. We appreciate your time here today. Hopefully you make that cut in Michigan, and we'll talk to you again as the season kicks off next year.
All right. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Have a good time. And there